Hello and welcome everyone again to another video. And today's video we will be talking about the top teams in the Great League Remix. Okay, sound check, we have sound. Okay, so what's a Great League Remix? It's an open Great League format with some bans. I believe there is a 20 Pokemons that are banned in this cup. And if you look at the picture here are like the Pokemons that are banned. Skarmory, Vigoroth, Azu, Lantern, Whiscash, just as expected. Registeel, who plays Registeel? Who plays Umbreon? Like sometimes it is like some pick. I'm like, are you sure there's people do use these Pokemon? Are you sure that people use Clodsire? I don't know about that. But Niantic said those are like the most used Pokemons. We have no way to check that, so we have to believe them. Not like we do have another option. So you cannot pick any of these Pokemons. So what you're saying basically are those Pokemons are more popular in the Great League than Annihilate and Poliwrath and Cresselia. I don't know about that. Okay. Without further ado, let's just go and talk about the Pokemons that you could use, because you can't use those, right? And if we look at the PvP ranking, you could see that the number one Pokemon is Carbink, followed by Mantine, followed by Mandibuzz, Gligar. Expected, those Pokemons are like extremely dominant in the Great League, and since they aren't banned, they are still as dominant. Feraligatr, the Shadow and the Non-Shadow. Empoleon, I mean, I feel like Empoleon is just a slightly worse version of Feraligatr. Feraligatr tends to do better in neutral matchups, but Empoleon tends to destroy the stuff that Empoleon is supposed to beat. I mean, technically, every Pokemon destroys the stuff that it's supposed to beat. Well, with Empoleon, it's a different case. Like, if you have Empoleon on a Fairy, you farm them all the way down, and then you have energy to hit the Flyers. That's like the difference. Sorry, not the Flyers, the Steels and the Fighters. Annihilate is there. How did Annihilate dodge the ban list? I have no idea. So, as always, I divide the Pokemons in every league into leads, safe swaps, generalists. Leads are Pokemon, as always, as I say, tend to have good fast move pressure, a baiting move, and a nuking move. Mantine and Mandibuzz, they don't have that thing. So they could also be a valid safe swap, you could say. But the problem with that, you can't safe swap them in a meta where like there is electric Pokemons. Guzzlord is a nice lead. Scrafty, I feel like Scrafty like now is slightly underwhelming, because whatever you want Scrafty to do, Poliwrath can do it, and even better with a Scald, while Scrafty doesn't have a good charge moves. Scrafty used to be good when people were running Walrein and people were running Registeel. These stuff where like Scrafty can just pop once and then farm them all the way down. Odorous is good, but the problem with Odorous is just it's a slightly RPS. It's like a Basti that dies faster or kill you faster. It's like these are the options. Gligar, probably the best Pokemon in the entire meta. Like, you could argue and say that. Shadow Awak is a Pokemon that you could use. Do not sleep on it. It has actually decent play in the meta, especially if people don't use that much water. But yes, water will be everywhere. I know. But, you know, like, some people will try to counter the water meta with Obama Snow. You know what destroys Obama Snow? Alolan Marowak. Now, moving to the safe swaps. Safe swaps are Pokemon that tend to do good in like, even when they are hard countered. An example about that is Frostlass. Frostlass. You could save a Frostlass into a Steel Pokemon and go straight Shadow Ball. You wouldn't care that much. Diggersby, you can run Quick Attack on Diggersby and bait those people who think you have Mudshot and then they go to their own Flyer. And guess what? Diggersby beat the Flyers if you have Quick Attack. Dragonair. If you guys watch this content, you know how much I've been putting content about Dragonair and Guzzlord this season and the previous seasons. Like, the last 3-4 seasons, I've been posting content non-stop about the Dragonair. Regirock is there because it's technically the spammiest Regi. It's a Regi that you could use, but look at the meta. It's all fighters, water, and waters, and dragons. Which Regirock struggles to beat. Yes, Regirock is good against the dragons if you land stone it, but you know what dragons do? They always shield and farm you all the way down. Get a shield, double shield, and farm you down. Surfetch is an option you could use, but you know, why would you use Surfetch when you could use Annihilate and Poliwrath? So just keep that in mind. Generals, those Pokemon just do not care about your typing. Those Pokemons will be there. They will either outbulk you or just basically hard counter you. Like, as an example, if someone safe swap a flyer, you just go carping and farm them all the way down. If someone safe swap a fairy, you just go toxapex and farm them all the way down. You don't care. Okay, a Pokemon that's worth mentioning here is Cofagrigus. This Pokemon is decent. Yes, it gets outpaced by so many stuff that are meta. The thing about it is that if it gets on a fighter, a Dragonair matchup isn't bad. If you have a good IV Cofagrigus, as I said, you do win the 0 and the 1. The 2 is a scuffed. If you have a good IV in the past, Dragonair loses the 1-0. Like, even down shield, you could still win it with a good IV. Now, with the buff to Aqua Tail, I don't think this is still doable. In fact, this is the matchup in Great League that matters the most. Where, like, if you have a good Cofagrigus IV, you win even down a shield against the Dragonair because you live 2 Aqua Tails. But now, I don't think so. Steelix, you know, it's like a no-brain Pokemon. You just pick it, Breaking Swipe, Psychic Fang, and crunch everything you see. I'm not going to talk about Empoleon and Poliwrath because they will have a good share of the teams that we will be featuring today. But before we head into the top teams and the meta, let's just talk about some spicy Pokemons you could use. If you don't have a Guzzlord, you could use this wireless, but it's not as good. But I think the best Guzzlord replacement is actually Hakamo. Hakamo is technically the best replacement to Guzzlord, with a difference that Guzzlord doesn't take super effective from Gligar. Machamp is a nice Pokemon to use. Shadow Grumble is insane with the fast move pressure. Gliscor, technically, if you do double Gligar. Don't sleep on Canine. I was about to say Kalolan. Canto Ninetale. It's actually a decent Pokemon. Munchlax you could use. If you need a ice Pokemon, you could use Lapras. Buzzwole isn't bad. But I think the main Pokemon on this category could be, I would say, Shadow Machamp, to be honest. Now, moving into the best teams. We talked about the best Pokemons, we talked about the anti-meta, but now what are the best teams? But before we hit into the best teams, the best team in the entire meta is supposed to be this team. But Yasser, how is this team good? How good is this team? Well, this team is not good. This team is OP on paper, okay? If you take the entire roster of Great League Remix, like all the eligible Pokemons, this team is supposed to beat everything because Carbink is the best Pokemon, Serperior is the best cover to this, and Gligar is the only Pokemon that could cover both. But technically, people don't run all the 600 eligible Pokemons. People just run 10 to 15 Pokemons. So what do? Usually what you do is you run the top 3 PvP. Top 3 PvP is a strategy I came up with, where the strategy basically is you choose number 1, number 2, number 3 on PvP, and then you call it a team. And then you say like, oh, I'm using the Yasser Elite team from the Yasser Elite Twitch channel. Or you could say, I'm using the Yasser Elite top 3 PvP team from Yasser Elite YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't made it this far. So if you haven't made, subscribe if you haven't. As long as you made it this far. I think that's what I wanted to say. But this doesn't mean that this is a good team, by the way. This is just a very meta team. Meta teams are, as I always say, they are 3-2 teams. You don't get 5-0s with it because people usually try to run code breakers. So sometimes, let's say someone is running a Togedemaru. Togedemaru can hit everything here with super effective and resist everything from here. That's an example. So this is the top 3 PvP team. This team is also top 3 PvP. I don't know why I have it twice. But now, Yasser, what will you be running? This is what we are interested. Last week, I told you guys if you want to know what I will be running, you have to watch my live stream. And lots of you came in, okay? So the team I was running, I was featured on my live stream. But this weekend, I can't stream because I will be traveling. So you guys get a team that I will be using. The team I will be using, yes, you guys get it right. I will be using Gligar with Poliwrath. Yes, so creative. I know. Thank you so much. And a third, I will be using Togedemaru. Why Togedemaru? Togedemaru's energy goes everywhere on this cup. If you don't run Togedemaru, I recommend running something like Shadow Quagsire. But Togedemaru technically is better into ice. Having Shadow Quag will give you a better play into this team, technically this core, those two. Because Quag doesn't struggle against the Gligar or this. Are you sure Yasser will be running this team? No, to be honest. Because you guys know me, I always try this team and then like go back to Dragonair teams. So if I run Dragonair, if I run Dragonair, I will be pairing it with Poliwrath with either one of those two, either Quag or Feraligatr. I think I kinda need Quag, technically. So if I do Quag, this will be the lead. If I do Feraligatr, probably it will be like this, and then I will be safe swapping Feraligatr. That's technically how I'll be doing it. Oh, it could be the opposite way, to like bait out the electric, and then Feraligatr will sweep later. This team that technically needs 70 shields, so it's your job to get a way to shield with this team. Are you sure, Yasser, this is the team you'll be running? No, I mean, you guys know me. I have lots of teams to use. And a team that I'm thinking like seriously of using is Mantine, Guzzlord, Shadow, Quag. Why Quag? Because I need something to bait out the Poliwrath. So I will be using Quag as a bait out the Poliwrath. Because Poliwrath beats Quag, but my Quag has one job, which is bait out Poliwrath, okay? So Guzzlord can sweep the back. You could use, I mean, you know, like now we're doing Lantern Double Dragon, so I always like to keep my VWADs as posted as possible. So usually what I do is I try to keep my teams similar in the themed cups as my team in Open Great League, so my VWADs get to save as much resources as possible. As an example, I've been playing Guzzlord in every Great League format. I've been playing Dragonair whenever I can. So, if you are watching, if you are investing dust, don't power up anything new, you know? In the Jungle Cup, we powered up a Shadow Quag. We powered up Dragonair 3 seasons ago. This season, we powered also a Guzzlord. So, literally, you can put those 3 in one team and call it a team. Okay? Now, if you are struggling into Poliwrath, just replace this with Mantine. Deal? So, yes. Guys, I mean, you guys are like just lucky, okay? You guys are watching a YouTuber that's literally building dedicated teams for you, so you don't have to spend dust. Isn't that enough reason for you to subscribe, guys? Come on, do it. 80% of my viewers are non-subs. Thank you so much for the people who subscribe, and hopefully we get other people who subscribe. Now, I'm just going to talk about some teams from previous seasons in the Great League format and the Great League Remix format, just to keep some people, you know, updated, like with this team. This is basically the meta that when those teams were meta. And back in the first time Great League came by, Great League Remix was a thing, I was running Castform, Mandy, Dragalge. I think Smash King was running Noctowl with the Dragalge, or the same team. I think, no, I think the season after, I dropped Dragalge for Slugma, or like the evolution of Slugma, and Smash King was using Steelix. So it could be either ways. Webtastic, a mod in my channel once said like this team is good, back in the last time Great League Remix was a thing, which is 2013 by the way. Toxapex, Double, Digitsby. You could also run triple normal teams. Literally like Double is you have to keep Double. I don't know if Vigoroth is eligible or not. Yeah, so you keep Double and you choose one of those two, one of those 3 here. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I try to keep it as short as possible and as knowledgeable as possible. Thank you so much for watching. This is the end of the video. If you guys like these videos, please leave a like. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Peace.